Students are no stranger to technology in the classroom. According to a 2005 Pew survey, 87% of all youth between the ages of 12 and 17 use the internet, and 68% of all teenagers have used the internet at school. This represents a 45% growth from the survey conducted 4 years earlier. You might think that those students are just checking email and chatting with their friends, but there is a wealth of educational material online for students and teachers to use. With us here to talk about this is Doering.
It's great to be here.
Aaron is an assistant professor at the University of Minnesota in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. He teaches courses related to how technology can enhance learning and has extensive experience in the development of educational content for the internet. Aaron, you do something called adventure learning. What is that?
Well, adventure learning is actually a hybrid distance education approach. It's where we go to remote locations on the earth. It doesn't have to be remote, but currently we are. And we write a curriculum about this region of travel.
Okay.
And then we actually go there. That is a team of educators and explorers actually go to these locations and then deliver their experiences that align itself with the curriculum back to students worldwide in an online learning environment.
How is this created? I mean, you have to do the travel, obviously.
Right. Well, there are many logistics involved. As you can imagine, the first thing you have to identify where you're going to go on this world, in this world, right, to share with students. So recently we've been traveling around the Arctic. So we were in the Canadian Arctic last year, we were in the Alaskan Arctic. This coming year we're going to Russia. And so we look at these areas of travel and we develop a curriculum based on these areas of travel in order to educate the students about this area and then also align it to their own local environment so that they're able to not only learn about their own environment but someplace on earth where they probably have no idea about or will never have the experience to explore themselves.
Fabulous. Now you brought along a little video of how you're making some of this content. Can we take a quick look at that?
Sure can.
Okay, well, it's Friday. It's an education day here for Arctic Transect 2004. As you can see, we have technology absolutely everywhere. Normally we bring in the computers at about 6:30 in the morning to start the warming up process. We get the stove going, and then after they're warmed up a bit, we start the generator. So I'm here, and what I do is I take all the images that we've collected throughout the week and download it here to the computer. Manipulate them. Mill and I have discussions over what's going to be in the report and what we're going to include for all the world to see. We also are downloading the video, taking audio and manipulating that in order that we can compress it so that it can be easily sent out. The biggest issue here is to get them as small as possible in order that we can get them sent out with the satellite system.
I'm going to talk about about our communication system. We call it M4. It's made by a company called Trana & Trana from Denmark, and it's a portable communication system that allows us to actually communicate from the field with high-speed data capabilities, or meaning we can connect to the internet at a high-speed rate. This is the actual antenna that sends the data out. It's hooked up to a cable that's inside the tent. What we do is we position the antenna. There's a compass on it, and we look for satellites in the southeast direction. It's a pretty amazing technology, and this is the same thing that CNN and others would use to transmit from war areas, things like that.
Usually we start around, like I said, 6:30, and if we can get it done by midnight, right, Noah? If we get it done by midnight, we're doing pretty well.
So you're getting all of this information about the Arctic and sending it to students worldwide, you said.
Worldwide.
How is this being delivered to them?
It's being delivered via the internet. But from the field, we're actually using a number of satellite technologies. We're capturing everything from movies, we're doing interviews, we're doing QuickTime virtual realities, sounds, and we also do a trail report every week about our experience that aligns itself with the curriculum, and then it's available to students at 8 a.m. that following Monday.
Okay, so they can read about where you're going, what you're doing.
Exactly, and then it's more than just, I say it's not a Where's Waldo program, because it aligns itself with the curriculum. So if the curriculum is focused on water, for example, then everything that we are doing, all the information that we collect is about water. Or if it's about climate change, it's all about climate change. It might be an interview with a local Inuit elder. And so everything is aligned with one another.
Okay, and now it's delivered via the internet, so they go to a web page?
Yeah, they go to polarhusky.com, and at polarhusky.com they will see where they actually can sign up and become involved with it. Adventure learning is so motivating for students is because it's very timely. There's been so much focus on climate change, so much focus on the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, and here we are actually traveling through this area this year. And so as we left Circle and went to Prudhoe Bay, we go from an area where it's very remote, these Inuit communities, to Prudhoe Bay, a little village of oil, right? Everything's based on oil. And so here on the front page, students, teachers can come and they can sign up. Everything is absolutely free. And that is fabulous. And then when we go and take a look at some of the features, you'll see that there are the trail reports. And the trail reports, there's, like I said, one every single week for the amount of time that we were out there. So as you can see here, there were actually 14 weeks that we were on the trail. And then it aligns itself with the curriculum, and then they go here and they can really live our experience. So they are able to get outside the classroom walls and experience the world without having,
and
actually leave the classroom.
And get a completely different perspective.
Right.
And obviously, if there's no cost involved with this, field trips are expensive, and that's just going, taking the bus down the street. Now, you said that this curriculum. What is this curriculum that you're talking about? Because they're learning about your trip, but what else are they doing?
Well, I think one of the main things that we have to focus on is actually the collaboration that takes place within adventure learning, because that is really the heart of it. It's the curriculum and the collaboration. Because it is more than just students in the United States who are participating, or just in Minnesota. We have students from the entire world, and also from the Arctic. And they're coming together in these what we call collaboration zones, in these areas, using things like you talked about earlier, blogs, wikis. We had, actually, this year we had the first blog from the Arctic, from a little town called Kaktovik. And they actually put a blog together about their lived experience there and shared it with
creating the blog? All the people
students from this Inuit community.
Kids.
The kids were. Yeah, it was unbelievable because it was the first time this had happened. In fact, in 2004, I hadn't seen anyone for 73 days, and we were actually out on the trail. And pretty soon a light came over the horizon, and we knew it was a snow machine. So we stopped the team, and I skied out to the individual, and I extended my arm out to him. I said, "My name's Aaron Doering." I said, "I'm so excited to see you." He goes, "I know who you are. I recognize your voice from the internet." and this is in the middle of the Arctic, but we hadn't seen anyone for over 2 months. And so what's happening is that the Inuit are actually using it to reinforce their own culture. And so you're taking these questions that students are asking of one another, using an environment that allows students to collaborate, ask questions, and moderate it. And instead of having, let's say, an expert, which we always have available to answer these questions, we are actually having Inuit students answer the questions. And so that is the heart of it, is the collaboration. And then you then obviously have this curriculum. And go ahead.
Now, just to go back a step a little bit, so we're talking students, what age range is this geared towards?
Yeah, the curriculum is written where it's experience, explore, expand. And we do say that it's K-12, but we see the majority of users in the elementary and middle school range. So I would say about grades 2 through 8, somewhere in there. And so that's where you're going to see the majority of users.
And then obviously there's a lot of motivation for these students. It's really exciting to come and take a look at this, read about what you're doing, and you've got the dogs on the dog slide. But what about the basics, like reading and math and science? Are they getting that?
They are getting that. Let's talk about the motivation, like you mentioned earlier. I do a lot of research on how this is actually being used in the classroom. And one thing that students and their teachers are saying over and over again is how motivated the students are, because they actually rush to the website every day because they want to see their favorite dog. They want to see the real-time updates. And so they're so motivated for it. And then you take a look at its use in, let's say, reading. I was out at Eden Lake this last year doing research, and these teachers are using it in their reading classes, and they're saying that their reading the reading scores are actually growing exponentially because they're so motivated to go in here because it's real time and it's live, and they just love being in there.
And that's the biggest thing, I think, is getting kids who are particularly having a hard time learning how to read. They need to find something that they want to read.
That's right, exactly.
That's
so
fabulous.
It's very exciting to see these students. You go there and they're just so excited to go into the online learning environment, and they just want to follow along. And when the actual expedition is over, when the program is over, they're kind of sad about it, and they're sending you little notes and saying, when's the next expedition? So that's pretty motivating for me.
That's fabulous. Now, they have the reading part, and they have the part where they watch videos of what you're doing and so forth, but then you mentioned there's the three parts: explore,
experience, explore, expand.
Okay.
Right, and really it goes from more of a directed approach to teaching to more constructivist. So depending on where you are in the classroom, you can utilize all three levels. So you might be in fifth grade, except have a really gifted student, and so you might use the highest level at that point. And you can utilize all those levels as you see necessary. And where we see it being used, or how we see it being used in the classroom, is everything where it's actually supplanting current curriculum to where it's utilized maybe Mondays and Fridays, or Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. It seems like that's how we see it, because Monday, that's when the new trail update is available, and then they use them Thursday and Friday. But we've also had teachers, for example, in Pennsylvania, who used it for their entire curriculum, and were very successful, meeting the state standards and everything.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they're doing more than just reading here, though. If they're using it for the whole curriculum, it's supplanting everything.
That's right.
So
they're using it in Phi Ed, for example, where they walk and check their heart rate as much as we do actually on the trail. So there's all these different activities that align themselves with one another. Social studies. In science, we actually collaborate with NASA, is a big supporter of us, and the National Science Foundation. So we are actually collecting snow samples, for example, and as we do it, as we dig snow pits, we actually have students around the world who are digging snow pits, collecting these snow samples, and then sharing it with one another. So it's at the heart of it is the collaboration and the interaction that is occurring throughout the entire world around this site at Fuller Husky.
now you say you've got these chats, you've got people around the world. How many students do you have involved in this?
Well, IBM Lotus collected all this information this last year, and they had over 3 million students worldwide who actually used the program. And it is pretty unbelievable, and it's pretty exciting. So I think we're onto something here. And, you know, adventure learning doesn't have to be in the Arctic, because what is very common and local for us is unknown to another person, right? So you could actually do an adventure learning project about Minnesota, about the Minnesota River. We're focusing on the Arctic, focusing on climate change, focusing about how our actions actually impact this area. But it can be at a very local level, sharing it with other students throughout the world.
Which is one of the wonderful things about the internet, is that you can share
That's
things
right.
all over the place. Now, you said you had these discussions going on with students all over, and you had experts too. So how does that work out?
Yep, that's a great question. We have these expert chats, as we call them, and everything's moderated, so it's all safe for the students. So let's say our focus is on weather, and we will have Dan Dix from the Weather Channel down in Atlanta, and he'll be the expert. And then we have a moderator at base camp, and then we have all these students from around the world. So they send the questions to the moderator, who then sends it to the expert, to Dan Dix, and then sends it back to the students. And so you have this moderated expert chat environment that is taking place. And then that's all written up in the curriculum, and so all the students are scaffolded, ready to ask the questions prior to going into the environment.
That is so fabulous. So because of this, they're able to really get access to experts no matter where they're located.
Yep, you have that. You have students interacting with other students, you have teachers interacting with other teachers, and you have experts interacting with all of them, and actually experts interacting with other experts. So you might have Dan Dix interacting with a scientist that went along on this last project, Henry Huntington from Alaska. So it provides this whole network and this whole community of learners.
Thank you so much for being here today,
It's
Aaron.
great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Fabulous. That's our show for today, but it's not the end of the topic. If you'd like to further explore learning technologies, you can do some reading online. The university's Digital Media Center has information on several types of learning technologies. They're at dmc.umn.edu. Click on Investigate Learning Technologies. For more information on the impact of the Internet on communities, daily life, and education, visit the Pew Internet and American Life Project at www.pewinternet.org. Be sure to check out our website to view this and past episodes, or to ask a question on today's topic. We're at techtalk.umn.edu. Next week on Tech Talk, we're taking a look at the latest and greatest gadgets and gizmos and what makes them tick. Until then, I'm Susan McKinnell.